Hey guys, today we are going to learn how to multiply polynomials. So we're on day 65. Before we get into the notes, I want you to stop and just listen and watch the video just a little bit before you actually start taking notes, because I want you to understand it. So if I'm looking at a polynomial and I want to multiply, I'm going to give you an example. I've got 4 times x to the third plus 2x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, so in this example, I've got a number outside of the parentheses, and I'm actually multiplying every term inside by the number 4. So we're going to use the property, the distributive property. Okay, we're going to look at the number on the outside, and we're going to multiply it by every term on the inside. So 4 times x to the third would be 4x to the third. 4 times 2x squared, we'd multiply the coefficients, and we get positive 8. X squared. Okay, 4 times x would simply be 4x, and then 4 times negative 6 would be negative 24. So then we get an expression, and that's actually our answer. We can't simplify it anymore. Okay, now if I had a variable on the outside, so maybe instead of a 4, I had an x, and then I had the polynomial, and I'll do the same one just so that we can compare it. Okay, so now I'm distributing the x, and I'm multiplying every term inside the parentheses by x. And we've got to remember our rule of exponents to do that. So x times x to the third, the coefficients are both 1, so we end up with a 1. It would be x to the fourth, because remember, when you have like variables, you simply add the coefficients when you're multiplying. X times 2x squared would be 2x to the third, and x times x would be x squared, and then x times negative 6 would be negative 6x. Okay, and that would be our answer. All right, in these examples, I start at the highest exponent and then I go down. Notice x to the fourth, then the term is 2x to the third, x squared, and then an x. Okay, so you can also have a number, maybe we'll have a coefficient and a variable, and we're going to then multiply it by every term. Maybe we've got 2x squared y plus maybe 1/2 x plus 3. Okay, now in this case, I'm multiplying 4x times 2x squared. I multiply the coefficients and I get 8. My x variable I'm multiplying, so I add the exponent, I get x to the third, and then I have a y. Okay, 4x times 1/2 x, 4 times 1/2 would be 2, and x times x would be x squared. And then 4x times 3 would be 12x. Okay, so I took every term inside the parentheses, I just distributed the expression that was on the outside of the parentheses. Okay, so let's look at the notes now and let's see if you can follow along. Okay, so 65A, let me just change my pen color. Here we have a monomial, meaning one term times another monomial. So we're just going to look at the coefficients, 3 and 6, and we're multiplying. So 3 times 6 is 18. So that would be 18. Then we have x squared times x to the third. Our rule is with exponents we add, so it's 18x to the fifth, and then our y would be to the eighth. Okay, so we just get, when we take a monomial and multiply by another monomial, we just get a monomial answer. Okay, so that would be our answer. Okay, negative 2 times 1/2 is a negative 1, so I'm just going to write a negative, and a times a squared is a to the third power, and b times b would be b squared, and then we don't have a c here, but we do have a c inside here, so this would just be c to the third. Okay. So now we look at our coefficients. Again, we're multiplying. 4 times 7 is 28. X to the third times x to the fourth is x to the seventh. Y to the fifth times y squared is y to the seventh. And then we have our z. Okay, that would be our answer. Okay, if I have a monomial times a binomial, I'm simply going to distribute what's on the outside of the parentheses to every term on the inside. So a times a would be a squared, and a times 8a would be plus 8a. Okay, 3x times x would be 3x squared. Now I've got 3x minus and times a negative 3, so we get minus 9x. Y times y minus 7 would be y squared minus, and we always list our coefficient first, so it would be 7y. Okay, don't write y7s, it's 7y. Okay, and again, I'm going to start going faster. If you want to stop and try a few and then come back and see if you got the right answer, now would be a good time to do that. Okay, so this one would get negative 35. My y would be to the third power. And then I would have a negative 5 times a negative 8 is a positive 40, and I would get y to the fourth power. All right, so because I like to have my exponents starting high and going low, I'm actually going to rewrite this one as 40y to the fourth minus 35y to the third. Okay, the highest exponent, then going down. Okay, 2xy times 2x is 4x squared y. And this would be minus a 6, and then we don't have any x's here. It would be 6x y squared. All right, this one would be 12x to the fourth minus 4x squared. Okay, moving on. All right, we've got a few more you can try. So number 10, positive 15, a b to the fourth. Then a negative 3 times a negative 1 is positive 3 ab. Okay, number 11, if you notice the negative x is on the right side of the parentheses, that's fine. Or you could just rewrite it. Okay, I prefer sometimes just to rewrite it, but you're still distributing the negative x to every term. So this answer would be negative 3x to the third plus 4x squared. Okay, again, I just distributed. All right, number 12 would be negative 25 x to the third y plus 25x. Okay, because again, a negative times a negative is a positive. All right. If I have a trinomial, multiplying, it works the same way. Every term, I just multiply x times x to the third, and I get x to the fourth plus x to the third plus x squared. There's my answer. I can't combine any other like terms with that, so you always want to make sure that you've combined all your like terms. I've got a negative 12. X is going to be to the fifth power. Okay, negative 4 times positive 8 is negative 32, and x would be to the fourth power. And negative 4 times negative 9 is positive 36, and our x would be to the third power. 15, we would get 15, oh, not 15, sorry. 5y times y squared would just be 5y to the third. Now it's minus 15y squared plus 5y. Okay. All right, so you can go ahead and try 16, 17, and 18 and pause the video, and I'll just put the answers down here. We've got 20b to the fourth minus 30b to the third minus 30b. This would be a negative 12b to the fourth plus 36b to the third, and this would be plus 21b. Okay, now we've got a negative 12x to the fourth plus 9x to the third minus 9x squared. Okay, I want to rearrange. This is negative 3x squared times 3x to the fourth minus 5x squared minus 4. Then when I distribute, negative 9x to the sixth plus 15x to the fourth plus 12x squared. Okay, this one would be 6x to the third minus 18x squared plus 6x. And then we've got a negative 7x to the third plus 5x squared minus 8x. Okay, xy times 2x would be 2x squared y minus 3xy squared. And then we've got minus 4xy. 23, negative 10x to the third y minus 12x squared y squared. And then plus 2xy to the third. And 24 would be 24 x to the third y squared minus 15x to the third y minus 18 x squared y. Oops, let's write that down here. Minus 18x squared y. All right. Okay, so again, you can go through and just try some more. Pause the video, and I'll just write the answers down. Negative 10, x to the third, y to the third, plus 15, x squared, y squared, and that would be minus 5xy squared. Negative 10, x squared, plus 6x to the third, okay, minus 6x to the fourth, and then minus 8x to the fifth. Okay, and then with this one, I'm going to rearrange it. So if I look at this, let's do it in reverse, the highest exponent first. So negative 8x to the fifth, minus 6x to the fourth, plus 6x to the third, minus 10x squared. Okay, even with fractions, 1/2 times 10, you're just multiplying the coefficients. 1/2 times 10 is 5. 5x to the sixth, y, plus 2x to the third, y to the third. Okay, 1/2 times negative 6 is negative 3. Our x would be to the fourth, and our y would be to the third. And then we just have a negative 2 times 1/2 is negative 1, so we'd end up with negative x to the third y. Okay, 27, now remember with fractions, 2/3 times 6, you go straight across, so that would be 12/3, which would be 4, so this is actually going to be negative 4a squared b. This would be 6/3, which would be 2, so 2a squared b to the third. And then a negative 2 times 12 is negative 24/3 is negative 8. A squared b to the third. And then finally, negative 18 times negative 2 is positive 36. 36/3 is 12. So we're going to have plus 12. We'll do it down here, ab squared. Okay. All right. So if we have a binomial times a trinomial, so this gets a little trickier. Okay. Notice we've got 3 terms here and 2. All right, we're going to split it apart, and we're going to take the binomial 2x, and we're going to take that first term, and we're going to multiply 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. And then the plus 1, so we're going to take plus 1 and distribute that to 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. Okay, so because the second term is a 1, we don't have anything we're distributing, but this is going to be important because we're going to have to combine like terms in this example. So 2 times 3 is 6. We get 6x to the third plus 8x squared minus 12x. Now we're adding 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. Now we're going to go back to what we did last class, and we're going to combine our like terms. Okay, so in this case, we've got 6x to the third, and 8 and the 3 is 11x squared. Okay, a negative 12x and a positive 4x is negative 8x, and then we have our minus 2. So that would be our answer. All right, this one, and it's important you rewrite, I would rewrite it, okay, 2y squared minus 3y plus 4, and then minus 7 times the same thing. So we've got 2y squared minus 3y plus 4. Whoops, running out of space here. Okay, so when we did this one, we'd get 10y to the third minus 15y squared. 5y times 4 is plus 20y. Now I've got a negative 14y squared and a positive 21y, positive 21y, and then we've got negative 7 times 4, which would be minus 28. All right, now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I've got negative 15y squared and negative 14y squared. So I'm going to end up with 10y to the third minus 29y squared. Now I'll combine the 20y and 21y, and I get 41y, and then minus 28. Okay, so we're going to pause the video right here because we're out of time in our 15-minute limit, but continue in the next video.